So this is the next of the set 6 decks that I want to profile because it's my second favorite out of the 3 trial decks. Even though I do like Leonhorn because I could do like some weird like goo stuff with Leonhorn, but I do like YOUTHBERK more than Leonhorn, which is sad because I don't think I'm gonna be able to, in my good conscience, play it during like set 7, maybe during set 8 meta, but not during like set 6 and set 7 meta, just because, you know, it's edge boy paladins. Everyone and their mother's gonna be playing them. So anyways, let's get into the profile. We do play 3 copies of SKYFALL arms. YOUTHBERK. I feel like everyone should know what this YOUTHBERK does, but I'll go over it quickly for you. What exactly it does before we go any further. So of course it has Overdress, Vanguard. At the end of battle attack, choose 1 card with Revolt form in its card name from your hand. Right as stand, it gets -2 drive checks until the end of the turn. And then act. Vanguard circle once per turn. Discard a card from your hand. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Choose 1 Revolt form from among them, reveal it, add to your hand, or choose 1 grade 2 or less from among them, call it to rear guard, and put the rest on bottom in any order. So, you know, obviously way better than the trial deck version, because I'm pretty sure the trial deck version only did the Revolt. Yeah, the trial deck versions only do the main mechanic, which is Overdress. So, of course, you wanted to use this one because it has, like, a skill that helps you search your Overdresses. But, going on to the Overdresses, playing 4 copies of Gust is just like the best one right now because it has a drive check. Like, don't get me wrong, like I don't think Zest is a bad card at all. Like, I actually really like Zest, but this one is just better just because it's able to give itself a drive check and power, to whereas like you could just stack up the middle lane to like be like a really big number, to whereas like even though it's only 1 drive check, they're still going to have to guard it towards it's going to either be like no pass or like they're just going to have to PG it anyways. And then we're playing 3 copies of Zest. I was playing 4 copies of Zest, but I opted to cut 1 out just to play like a 4th copy of this cool tech card that really helps combo well with this deck. But 3 copies of Zest. There's like really not much to say here. It's the other Revolt form, and you have to play him at some copies. I do think he's better than people give him credit for, just because it's a fat beater. On Persona Ride turns, it's like 38 with a crit. If you don't Persona Ride, it's a base 28 by itself, which is still like, if they're not running the fronts, if they're not running the effect fronts, then that's still 2 cards to guard from hand. So I don't think he's bad by any shape or form. But let's get on to the grade 2s. We're playing 4 Fracture Knight Schneisel, and then we're playing 4 of the grade 2 from the trial deck, Cadwalla. Now the reason that we're playing Schneisel and Cadwalla is because, again, you want to make sure that you're able to Overdress every turn. So Fracture Knight helps you search it. His ability is Counterblast 1, top 5 for a YOUTHBERK. I believe it doesn't even have to be grade 3 if I'm not mistaken. It's just no, yeah, it has to be a grade 3 for 1 grade 3 YOUTHBERK, and then he gets 5k. And then his second ability is when he attacks, if you rode a grade 3, I don't believe it has to be by effect. Yeah, if you just rode a grade 3 on top of a grade 3 this turn, choose one of your Vanguards and it gets 5k until the end of the turn. So this is also really good to beef up your Vanguard like Zest, like Gust, or even because this deck can have like semi-weird attack patterns just based on the amount of damage your opponent's at, their hand size, their board state, whereas like you don't do the normal attack pattern of like Vanguard, Vanguard, Rearguard, Rearguard. You could sometimes do Rearguard, Vanguard, Rearguard, and then Vanguard, or you could do Rearguard, Rearguard, Vanguard, Vanguard, depending on the board state, of course. And then 4 of Cadwalla. We play Cadwalla for the same reason, that this just, again, it helps you search for grade 3s. It helps you search, which is, you know, all of your Zest forms, Zest and Gust forms, your Persona Rides. So that's the main reason that we are maxing out on these cards, because they do help us search our main engine, which is Revolt forming. And then for the grade 2s, not grade 2s, for the grade 1s, we're playing 4 Machine Tiger, and then we're playing 4 of Isalta. Now, these two, the reason why I'm running Isalta at 1 is because these two grade 1s, like, they combo with each other very well. What Menacing Tiger does is when it's discarded from your hand during your turn, you can Counterblast 1, call it to the rear guard at rest. I believe it's back row, if I'm not mistaken, or it might not even matter. Yeah, it's just called to rear guard at rest. And then its other ability is when it's placed on rear guard circle, Soul Blast 1, give your Vanguard plus 5k until the end of turn. And that's not limited when you're on grade 3. So you could just pull off some really cool rush plays by, sorry guys, by discarding Menacing Tiger and beefing up your Vanguard's power, not abilities. But Isalta works really well with Menacing Tiger, for the fact is when you call or discard Isalta, Isalta restands one of your rear guards. So you could discard a Menacing Tiger from your hand. So this is what I was saying, that this is like a really good rush. You discard a Menacing Tiger, you Soul Blast 1, you Counterblast 1, call a Menacing Tiger, then you Soul Blast 1, give 5k to your Vanguard, then you call Isalta, it restands the Menacing Tiger, so now you have at least 2 lines of attackers. And it's also really good in combination with when you revolve form. Not revolve form, but when you go into Gust on your YOUTHBERK turns, because when you go into Gust and you discard 1 for the 10k plus 1 drive, you discard Isalta, you could restand your booster. So a really good play that I was thinking about with the deck is that you swing boosted with your SKYFALL arms first. If you get any triggers, you give them to the booster. Like, of course, if you get crits, you give them to the rear guards. But if you get any triggers, you give them to the booster. And then you Overdress into Gust. You discard Isalta off of Gust, and then you restand the booster, and then you boost with it again. So that was like a really cool interaction that I thought of. I saw some people doing some different things with the deck. Like, they were trying to play the grade 1 that bot decks cards when you drive check triggers, and I thought that was really cool too. And I thought of trying to play removal in the deck, but in my opinion, it just seemed like too clunky, and it kind of took away from what the deck was trying to do. Like, I would rather help myself than hinder my opponent, if that makes any sense. So I would rather add on to my strategy than to try and minus my opponent or disrupt his strategy. But I just feel like it's better to deck build that way. And then if you have like tech slots or room, and you like want spot removal, or you want this for this matchup, then I feel like you can move forward during going on to there. But I feel like just maxing out on discard targets that just help beef up your Vanguard and just help you build the board is just really crucial, in my opinion. But going on to the rest of the grade 1s, we are playing 3 of the PGs and then one of the Blitz Order PG. There's really not much to say there. On to the triggers. Playing 3 of the effect draws. We're playing draw triggers in this deck because this deck really doesn't draw. Like, this deck doesn't really draw. You could draw off of Cadwalla if you're not searching your YOUTHBERKs off of Cadwalla, but again, like I said, like, this deck doesn't really draw. It does like a bunch of searching for your grade 3s, but that's about it. So that's why we are playing the draw triggers. I might actually max it to 4, but crits are just like too important in my opinion. So 4 of the effect crits. I don't feel like this build really needs the effect crits, because the only things that Soul Blast is Menacing Tiger and Cadwalla. But oh yeah, you're rattling Soul Blast too. But it's better to have it than not need it, than to need it and not have it. And then we're playing 4 vanilla crits, and then 3 vanilla heals, and I'm playing one of the effect heal that gains 15 off of a restander. Now, the reason that I'm running the effect heal that gains 15 off our restand is because I feel like we're shifting into more of a meta to where, in my opinion at least, this is, you know, based off of me in my area, because you have to play to your area, to your locals, and to your local tournaments. Based off of what I feel players are more often than not likely to play, I feel like having this is better than not having it, especially in a deck that, like, it doesn't seem to have that much shield power to begin with. So I just feel like I'm able to get away with playing one, because at the end of the day I'm just playing four triggers that are 10k shield. So I feel like I can get away with playing one, so that's why I'm doing it, and I do feel like it's gonna come up more often than not versus the crit heal. I feel like the crit heal is harder to pull off because a lot of times the units gaining crits are vanguards, not rear guards, and sometimes just slamming down the crit heal by itself is not enough, so you have to slam down an additional card on top of it, and then at the end of the day, that's still just the 2 to pass. So your opponent might just still get lucky and break the 2 to pass anyway, or they just might get even luckier and get the over trigger. So I feel like the effect crit is like harder to use. That effect crit is harder to use versus the effect heal that just, you know, works off of a restander no matter what's restanding. And then for the over trigger, I am playing the Cray Elemental over trigger, Lord Arborea or something like that. The reason I'm playing the Cray Elemental over trigger is because I don't see any value, because more in the Keter Sanctuary over trigger, because more often than not your rear guards are grade 2s and grade 1s, unless you're calling YOUTHBERKs to rear because you just have to. So the extra drive checks won't, in my opinion, hinder the deck more than help the deck. And I feel like I would rather just play an over trigger that just helps me win the game versus an over trigger that if I pull it, it'll be like a slight inconvenience to my opponent. Like, it's like completely based on those extra trigger checks, and it'll be like a slight inconvenience to my opponent, and I get like slight advantage off of it, versus this over trigger is just raw power, and when I check it, you know, those 200 million attacks might just be the difference between you winning and losing. So that is my that's my YOUTHBERK deck profile. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I'm sure it's not that important. I will be profiling, again, all the new decks from Set 6, so stay tuned for that, and I will have match videos posted up as soon as possible. Later, guys.